This is a week for pulling out the rescue remedy. No joke. It is a deep, challenging, potentially triggering, very shadow work kind of a week. Now, we will all, of course, experience this very differently, but the astrology all points to big, deep, purificatory processes going on, big, deep healing, big, deep pointing out traumas, ancestral traumas, past life traumas, childhood traumas. I mean, this week is not pulling any punches. It's literally like 6 or 7 big guns. 6 or 7 like big gun planets, archetypal energies, really just taking their turn with us. It's like they're kind of like putting you in the ring, and then like Kali will come in. She's really loud. Kali will come in, and Kali's got like the skull, garland of skulls around her neck. She's got 6 arms. She comes in with, like the sword in one hand, and she's like, whoosh, she like scoops out, and then Mars comes in. Mars is the warrior, god of war. Mars comes in and he just starts like pummeling you in the face. He like dips out. Pluto comes in. Pluto's like lord of the underworld, right? Dude's got like mystical, magical powers that we can't even comprehend. He just like pulls your feet out from underneath you without even touching you. And then there's a few more. That's kind of what this is like this week. Yep, it's kind of what this is like this week. Now let's also talk about, this could be showing up in dreams. This could be showing up in meditations. This could be showing up in just triggery, challenging stuff in daily life. This could be showing up in relationship. This could be showing up in our therapy sessions, in our journal morning notes that we write to ourselves. This could be showing up just in our emotional state. It could be showing up in the want to really like anesthetize, like numb out and anesthetize, right? Eat a bunch of food, go watch a ton of Netflix, have a beer, whatever it is. But the gift is when we can look at it, which my aim is that this conversation not only helps us to look at it, but gives us practices to do things with it. Why? Because when we work with it, right? Even just when we're aware of it, it shifts, right? Like you're this amazing alchemist. We are these amazing creators. We are so much more powerful than we have any idea about, like we have so much more potential, and we have so much more capacity to work with what is and create, create, alchemize it. Like you turn the lemons into lemonade. You turn the shit show into a dance party. I'm currently in one of those. Currently shit show, bit of a shit show. Rented a cabin in Nevada mountains, bit of a shit show. Like it is a shit show. But there's this like silver fucking lining, and there is this absolute perfection to it. Now, I can't see that shit yet. So feel into that. That's this week. But if you could ride the line, this is the greatest thing I can tell you about this whole week. And you don't have to take any of my advice at all. You could chuck this in the fucking bucket and go, Sabrina, that's your fucking experience. That's what you're going through. That's fine. I'm good. Wait till Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, because someone's going to get you. I'm telling you, either that or you're drinking beers all week, right? Possibly for the next 2 weeks, right? Just stay drunk. But then you're probably still going to have the emotional breakdown at some point. They're all pointing toward our evolution, like these moments in time come around, these weeks come around, all these dark goddesses, dark gods, they line up for your evolution, for your greatness. We could look at it differently, sure, and you'll create that reality. You could look at it like, oh, there is no silver lining. Well, that's the reality you're going to create. Well, that's fine. That's we could do that. We could so do that. That's the power you have. That's right. All right, let me see if I can try to get us into this like mental clusterfuck that this is. So one thing that's going on Monday is that Mercury square Neptune. Fun. That's when this video comes out. Mercury is the mind, right? And I was just about to say, this is why I jumped to this aspect first. I was just about to say, like, let the mind dissolve, right? Let the mind dissolve. The mind needs to go to mystic mind. It needs to just let go. It needs to let go into something more, let go into something greater. It needs to dissolve the old patterns that it's in. I love that Neptune's doing that to Mercury. So right away on Monday, we've got fog, we've got confusion, we've got just like buzzed out. Now, this could also mean mystical thinking. This could also mean you will get insights you would have never gotten before. You can tap into things you would have never tapped into, like the greater, the higher heart, the unconditional love, like this level of expansion that the mind can get to that it would never be able to get to. So Monday's great for stuff like that. I have a really big strategy session coming up on Monday. I'm going to lean into that side of the coin. Do you see that choice point? That's such a great example there. And I didn't even mean to do that, but such a great example of I could literally go into the, oh my God, it's Neptune and the mind. There's going to be fog and chaos and confusion. I need to cancel that session. I need to reschedule that. It's going to be so bad. Or I could really open up to mystic mind and go, you know what? There couldn't be anything better. There couldn't be anything better. But do you see? That's the line that I'm choosing. That's where I'm staring. That's where I'm bringing, where consciousness goes, energy flows. I say this all the time. I know I'm probably getting bored hearing that. But what you stare at, so I'm staring at that. I'm staring at that. I'm staring at that. It's intention setting, right? I'm staring at that. Okay, so that's the first choice point. By the way, that's going to be one of 2025's big themes, is like really owning our power. And one of our big powers is this capacity to create, like really seeing how much our thoughts influence our reality, how much our belief systems influence our reality. If you want to hear more about that, the 2025 astrology report is out. If you haven't seen it, we'll put a link up there and a link down below. It's something really good. I would go in and look at that after this if you haven't seen it yet. There's like eight themes, I think, maybe 9 themes. I don't know exactly how many, but I spent days and days and days and days and days studying 2025 and then boiled it down to the biggest, most influential themes for 2025. All right, let's keep going with this. So that's kind of the first aspect. Now, of course, that's not just on Monday. It's going to be, a little before, a little after that mystic mind thing we have going on. Now, this is what's going to be going on all week. Kali, ego slayer, right? If you've been hanging out in ReWilding for any length of time, you will know her fierce grace is about taking you out, taking your head off, right? Taking your head off. You are not your personality. You are not your ego. You are not just that. You are something far greater than that. Her fierce grace, the fierce love of the Dark Mother. That's Kali, right? So Kali, we'll be getting closer and closer to the sun, conscious self. This makes Kali louder and louder and louder and louder as the week goes on. On Saturday is when the perfect conjunction happens. Kali's loud all week, though. Let's talk a little bit more about why. Kali's conjunct another dark goddess. This just gives her more Shakti, right? More Shakti. More Shakti going through Kali gives her more of a capacity to affect the physical world. More Shakti ignites that in you, in me, in the world. So there's more Kali, right? More Kali. Like, think of like the dark feminine with her sword out, just saying, no, nope. Will not take that, will not take anything less than your everything. I am demanding your everything, and I will call you out on your shit. I will call myself out on my shit, right? That's Kali. That's an aspect of Kali. There's much, much more to Kali. We'll see if more of that unfolds for us in a minute when we keep going. So she's conjunct another dark goddess. I'll talk about that in a bit. Don't want us to get confused yet. So that's amplifying Kali. Now, Kali is also square to another dark goddess point. The fullness of all the dark goddesses. In astrology, they call Black Moon Lilith. So the fullness of the dark goddess, square to Kali with another dark goddess, dancing with Kali, square to Chiron. Come on now. You know what Chiron points to? Your deepest wounds. Just that. Your deepest, gnarliest wounds, the ones that you do not want to look at, the ones you do not want to admit to, the ones that you do not want to go back to again, the ones that you think, no, I did that. I healed that. I did that. I'm good. The betrayal thing that I got, I'm good. The abandonment stuff that I got, I'm good. I've done my work on that. I'm good. Dark goddesses are saying, no. You have not gone deep enough. It's still playing out. Your wound is still influencing your life right now. That wound is still influencing how you raise your children. You're still doing it. It's still having an influence on you. Do you see how much they want to liberate us? This is the dark goddess. It's fierce feminine. It's fierce grace. But she wants to liberate you. She wants to liberate you from the traumas. And I like the word trauma for this week, actually. I like the word trauma. I really do. I know that's a bit in our face, like wound. We don't even like hearing wound. Wounds. We don't like hearing trauma, wounds. We don't like hearing that. But that's illuminated. Now, here's the beautiful part. Because they're illuminated, because the door's wide open. What if you were to pour some love in there? What if you were to pour some alchemical love in there? I worked with this amazing shaman for years and years. One of the wise elders that I worked with in my life. Very, very blessed to be able to do that. And she, as she got older, she was saying to me, Sabrina, it's really simple. It's just high voltage love. That's it. That's what changes everything. That's what does these shamanic initiations that seem so magical and mystical and powerful. It's just love. It's just this high voltage love. And I can attest to that. 10 years of ReWilding, watching, facilitating so many miraculous things. It's love. It's high voltage love. It's love. So now we get to take high voltage love to that stuff. So instead of turning away, hiding from it, putting it back, in the closet or under the rug, look at it, bring it closer, and then bring high voltage alchemical love to it. The biggest high voltage chemical love that you can. If you don't know how to tap into Kali or Persephone or like that ferociously fierce Shakti of the feminine, figure out how to. I'm such an asshole sometimes. It'll change your life. They're life changers. They're life changers, right? Fierce feminine's a life changer. She just does. Come on. She's the ego slayer. She takes your head off. There are devotees that Kali is the only aspect of the goddess that they are devoted to their whole life. The only aspect of the divine, never mind the goddess, the divine, whole life, devotion to Kali. That's how deep, wide, vast her Shakti is. This is Kali's week. Might be Kali's month. All right. That was my little rant on Kali. Let me feel for a minute. I'm going to give a plug to membership real quick. We worked this exact practice in membership. This exact practice of finding the thing, the challenging thing, the thing that's up for you, the trauma, the wound, creating a space for yourself, and then bringing that high voltage alchemical love to it. We did that. We did that in membership on January 1st. I know a lot of you here were there for it. But some of you maybe have never dipped a toe into ReWilding proper, that's ReWilding proper. This is, podcasts are like, yeah, I give you as much as I can. But it's not a held temple space. It's just not. It's not. It's, as much as I want to go for it and give you everything I can, we're in a public forum. And the energetics are just different. It's just, it's different. Our consciousness comes into a YouTube video very differently than your consciousness would come into a temple space that is a 2-hour journey into this part of self. And that's what membership is. That's the difference, right? It's it's where everybody's consciousness is at. We're coming into because so many people are like, Sabrina, give us the practice now. And I'm like, I can't. You came to an astrology conversation in a YouTube video to catch a couple good feels and a couple insights, maybe a practice or two and a journal prompt. Like you didn't come in holding the consciousness necessary to take the journey. Wow, I'm fiery. If you haven't been around for a while, the way that I do astrology is very much embodied. It moves through me, right? So it's like the fieriness in me. It's also those archetypal energies that move me, like that's how I do it. I don't just cognize it mentally and then regurgitate, Kali square Chiron and they're square to da-da-da. I want to transmit it through every fucking cell of my body. And I want there to be juice in the words, right? So that when you're hearing Kali, something gets invoked in you. Something. The Kali in me talks to the Kali in you. Maybe. I don't know. That's my intention, if it's meant to. All right, let's keep going with this astrology. Let's pop over to high, benevolent, shifting gears, real mystical, real magical, really grace-filled, like if that was like the dark gifts, right? The dark goddesses. Here's like the light. Isis is conjunct Venus. That's just feminine mysticism, feminine magic, high priestess. That's what that is. Venus, we are able to really feel Venus. Venus is a personal planet. She's much more accessible to us than Isis is. But when Venus, who we're mostly all able to feel in ourselves, she's a little bit more conscious, right, than most archetypal aspects of self, most parts of self, right? When Venus, this conscious part, she's like the heart, right? Goddess of love, goddess of beauty. We all know, look at Venus in your chart to look for relationships, right? We know that part of self. It's our feminine. So when that conscious part of self, that feminine part of self that we can tap into is right next to, right? High voltage, esoteric Isis, who we typically aren't really channeling, we typically aren't really tapped into in ourselves. When they're together, we're able to tap into her mysteries much deeper. We're able to, let Venus almost be like the middle woman between you and Isis. Even Isis is high mystics, high mysticism, high mysteries. Like you think about the Egyptian mysteries, the Isis mysteries, these mysteries. And some people say that Isis is linked to the Mary Magdalene mysteries, the Mary Magdalene line. I don't know, you feel for you. But Isis mysteries, let me feel if there's something specific that I can share around this. I can't share. It is so vast, and so it's almost like talking about Kali. Isis is like talking about Kali, like that vast, that big, that full. So many faces, so many capacities held within Isis, and when she switches on in you, look out, world. Look out, world. You just turned on some high voltage feminine gifts in yourself. All right, let's move on. So that's a really beautiful aspect that's going on. I love that. I love that for love. I love that for relationship. Let's bring it down to the mundane a little bit. I love that for sexuality. Isis also brings sex magic. Like sex magic, the sex mysteries held in that lineage. I love this. I love this for relationships. Now imagine that weaving into deepest traumas. Sex magic, high voltage, Isis mysteries with Venus dancing together in a grounded way, because Venus brings it to ground. She brings it into the body, brings it into the heart. Remember that high voltage alchemical love I was talking about? Tap into Isis, channel that through Venus, your heart, which is accessible, and then bring that into whatever it is you want to bring that into, right? You're having a challenge in your relationship. Pour it in there. You want to open up to more sexuality, pour it in there, more pleasure. You want to open up to the next level of orgasm that you haven't had yet. Pour that in there. This is the week to tap into it. But, you're probably going to have to pour that love into some trauma or some wounding, because the trauma and the wound is going to sit on top of the magical mysticism, wisdom, big, beautiful orgasm, more pleasure, more purpose, joy, whateverness. It's like pour it onto the wound, onto the trauma that's going on first. Again, if you want to do that, be guided into it, join membership. You can join for a month, totally fine. Go get in there. There's also the 2-hour, this thing is insane, the 2-hour deep dive into 2025 astrology. That was insane. That was insane. That was a thing. That was a thing. Anyways, that's all in there. I always roll my eyes up. I'm sorry that I do this. Those of you who've been around a while, I always roll my eyes up because I'm trying to figure out what is the price. It's $59 for a month of ReWilding. You can stay for a year, a month, 2 months, a week, whatever. But it's there. There's probably 8 hours in there right now with that 2025 astrology deep dive, probably 8 hours of ReWilding. All right. Anyways, yada, yada, yada. Just go do the practice. Skip all the rest of the stuff. Just go do that high voltage alchemical practice this week. It's really good. Okay. All right. We got to dive a little bit deeper now. I know. Here we go. Mars. Mars is your warrior. Mars is your masculine. Mars sometimes gets a bad rap because we're like, God of war. But that's who goes to war for you. It's my masculine. It's your masculine. It's everybody's masculine. It's an aspect of our masculine. Sorry. It's an aspect of our masculine. Now, if I didn't have a strong Mars, y'all, I would have like ducked tail and I would have been out of this Nevada cabin the first hour that I had gotten here. Like, amen for this like big, beautiful warrior that's got my fucking back. That's why we want to do our Mars work, because we want to have that in ourselves that has our back. We also want to do our Mars work because having a good relationship to that aspect of ourselves also opens up a good relationship to that aspect in our lovers, in our children, right? And think of high voltage Mars, high voltage warrior, right? High voltage warrior, that's sacred warrior. That's heart aligned warrior. That is massive right now, and it's going to continue to be massive. But this week, it's really, really, really loud. Really loud. It was loud this weekend. It's still loud. Mars is retrograde. So the warrior is getting a makeover. Warriors getting makeovers. I like that. He is getting a makeover, right? He is going into the underworld in a retrograde. That's what he's doing. The masculine warrior, we all have it, is going down, 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 down to get rewired. To get rewired, to get a makeover, to get redone. Like, listen here, dude, you're weak. But that's kind of what's going on for him. Here's where you're weak. Let me show you what you're missing out on. Let me show you where you're losing power, lacking power. You don't have a straight spine. You don't have a strong backbone. Let me show you. So that's what's going on for Mars. Now he's opposite Pluto this week. He's opposite Pluto. He's been like that for the weekend. Still going to be there. It's still going to be loud at the beginning of the week. Pluto wants to show you deeper depths. Mars is already deep. He's already in the underworld. He's already getting a makeover. Now he gets the god of the underworld, comes for a one-on-one, right? So your warrior's in the underworld already getting makeover. Now the lord of the underworld comes. He's like, let's have a one-on-one, just you and me. Let's have a little bit of a one-on-one. I am going to fuck you up, is what Pluto's saying. And he's going to do it in a masculine way, right? Like, when we are really up-leveling our masculine, y'all, that's usually by like facing death. It's by facing death. That's really where the masculine evolves. Facing death, like insane challenge. That's really it. That's why vision quests are so powerful. Like, you don't eat for days, no water, no food for 7 days. Go have a fucking vision. That's a very masculine-based practice because you're riding that edge of death. It's powerful. It's crazy powerful for the masculine. I feel like I'm in a little bit of one of those here. It's great. It's great. It's great, and it's like necessary. It's necessary for your masculine's evolution, and this 2025 is going to be year of masculine evolution. I talked about that in the podcast themes video too. Again, if you haven't seen the last podcast episode, it's a good one to go watch after this. Masculine evolution in all of us. How do we hold space for that? Because we're not that great at it. I don't think we're that great at it. That's maybe something to reflect on. All right, let's keep going. My goodness, this is getting deep. This is getting long. I want to keep on this masculine theme a little bit, and I want to talk about Chiron. Chiron is this aspect of us that holds your medicine. It's your medicine man. It's your medicine woman. But I'm going to go with medicine man, right? Chiron is your medicine man, and he's got a lot of medicine. He's got a lot of wisdom, like enormous amounts of wisdom is held in Chiron. There's also enormous amount of, let me just feel, I don't want to say wounds. I'm so sick of hearing wounded healer. And we just like glaze over, and I want to take us somewhere instead of just glazing over and like getting bored with hearing wounded healer again. Let me feel. I say it like this way too, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. This is at least our doorway in. Is Chiron is, days of old, a shaman became a shaman when they had the near-death experience. This is the masculine initiation, right? It's also in the spiritual territories. It's also in the healing territories, right? It's that shit got so bad that you finally let the thing go. You got so sick that you finally opened up to your true purpose in life, being a shaman, right? That was it. Like, you got so sick. You got so wounded. The bear almost fucking killed you. And then that is the thing that opened you up. So it's like opening through challenge, growth through challenge, wisdom through challenge, purpose. Chiron has a lot to do with our purpose. Your purpose through the challenge of it, right? He's an aspect of bringing us into the mastery of our purpose. Like, you come into mastery of it. And it's like your greatest wisdom, your greatest gift to give. One of them, greatest wisdom, greatest gift to give the world, sits within that wound. It's because of the wound you have the gift. Because of the wound, you have the gift. Maybe you were abandoned as a little one. Because of the wound, you have the gift to love in ways that are unfucking fathomable, right? Because of the physical ailment that you've had your whole life. Because of that, you've developed these ways of being in your beingness, right? That you never would have, right? That's where your genius came from. It's because of the wound. That's Chiron. It's Chiron. Now that's coming up to be more and more revealed. It's coming up to become more and more conscious. Revealed as it become conscious, you become aware of it. And then when you become aware of it and conscious of it, you get to create from it. You get to create from not the wound, not unconsciously being puppeteered around by the wound, like, my childhood, right? It's that you can see, and you can create from the genius underneath it. You've accepted the wound and you create from the genius. You live from the genius. You attract things into your world from the genius, not the wound. That's the one I want to really highlight. You attract things into your life from the genius, not the wound. That's a conscious Chiron. That's a third stage Chiron. So I talk about archetypes in 3 stages, right? 1 is dormant. You have no fucking idea that it's even there. 2 is developing or distorted. It's there, but it's just all wonky, or it's in the wounded state. 3, it's divine expression, right? The divine expression, the highest level of expression in you that it can be. Woo-wee. So Chiron was just dancing with Hygeia, Kundalini goddess of miraculous healing. That's beautiful. It's also typically gentle. We don't even know sometimes that it's happening. Now that's kind of separating. But Chiron's been square to Kali and Persephone. Remember I said Kali was dancing with another dark goddess. They were together, conjunct. It's Persephone. Persephone. She's initiator. She's initiator. It's a journey into the underworld to initiate you. That's Tucker. Tucker is apparently out for the initiation, right? He's like, I will tell you all about the triggers that's going on here, but now I am good to go. I don't need another fucking underworld initiation. I live with Sabrina, and that's enough. Okay, so I don't want to go too much into Persephone. For those of you in IX, we're going to be working with Persephone in this month. So she comes out, I think, in 2 weeks. Yeah, she's the first archetype that came through for our January grouping. You're all welcome to join IX. We left the doors open even after holiday offer ended. IX is the deep dive into all these archetypes that I talk about, into the mysteries, the transmissions, those parts of self. Really essentially going from stage 1 through stage 2 all the way to stage 3. That's the whole point of IX. There's 36 archetypes, 36 parts of self. Persephone is one, Kali is one. Of course, Mars is another one, Pluto is another one, Chiron is another one. They're all there. They're all there, and that's our way, our big full library of archetypes of these sacred energies, and the journey is to take you through. It's that I'm not telling you about their myth. I'm taking you through the journey to activate it in yourself, and then to move you from stage 1 through stage 2 up to stage 3 in all 36 of them. Just that. It's definitely not for everybody because it's full on, but it might be for some of you. Okay, so Persephone's coming. For those of you who are in IX or if you're interested in joining. And then I think I want to talk about the nodes. So I talked about the square of Chiron, square to Kali conjunct Persephone, square. I'm doing like some weird, this is not triangle, square, square to Black Moon. Black Moon's the conglomerate of the dark goddesses. I think we'll just leave it at that. That is just more of that fierce feminine, more of that deep sacred feminine, and that fierce grace, and just demand. Chiron, move. Heal the traumas, heal the wounds. Go. Okay. Last thing that I want to talk about are the nodes of fate. Nodes of fate shift signs. Yeah. This week, the nodes of fate will shift signs. They will shift into the relationship axis. No, sorry. They will shift into the spiritual axis out of the relationship axis. I said that backwards. So they're shifting out of Libra Aries. They've been there for 18 months. Nodes of fate, that's pointing to what it is that will help you to find your purpose. So for the last 18 months, it was relationship, self versus other, helps you, supports you to find your purpose, helps you, supports you to come into your fullest expression of self. You could reflect on that if you like looking backwards and seeing like, wow, how has relationship, how has boundaries, how has self, me versus we, self versus other, how has that really supported me? Now Tucker just, he's like, yeah, we're a we, Mom. It's not just you. This is me versus we. Like, how are you going to manage this, Mom? Walks through, bumps the camera. My goodness, this is why he's normally in another room. All right. So feeling that shift from the relationship axis from the last 18 months, and it's going to move into the spiritual axis. This means that spirituality, whatever that is for you, spirituality is also changing a lot this year. It is going to what's the word I was using in, I did this in the deep dive, the 2-hour thing that's part of membership. This really came out as the final quarter of 2025. We are all really going to be in a place of what was our spiritual path or what were spiritual practices that supported us have changed. It's like a spiritual revolution, a spiritual reviewing, revising, revisit. Like our spirituality is going to be so different. But what is the true spirituality to you? And let that for this whole next 18 months, let that really open up your purposes. Let your spirituality open up your true north, because that's what it's pointing to. That's what's going to open up your true north, right? That's your highest path forward. That's your destiny. That's your purpose. That's your dharma. And spirituality supports it in ways, I mean, spirituality always supports it, but for the next 18 months, it's like times 10, times 10, times 10. My goodness, it is amazing to be here with you. I am wildly grateful. Last year was a wonderful year. 2025, I feel like, I don't know, I won't talk, I talk all about that in the theme, what I really am sensing for 2025. So if you haven't seen that podcast, go check that out. That was the last podcast that just came out. You'll find links all above. If you want to go deeper into the 2-hour conversation about the astrology, that's in membership, as is the practice that supports this high level alchemical love with the triggers of the challenge that we're looking at. All right. Massive love to you all. Thank you again. I'd love to see you in the comments. I'm always hanging out the first day or two after a video comes out. Thank you so much.